Elden Ring is huge. When you first spawn in the game, you're greeted with a massive world waiting to be explored. One of the first things you see in the game is the massive earth tree in front of you. As any normal person would do, you take your horse and start riding towards it, thinking you can reach it without much effort. But as you start to move closer and closer to it, the map starts to reveal its magnitude to you. You soon start to realize that this world is enormous and there is no way you can cover the entire map, let alone reach the tree, without spending hours riding on your horse. On your way, you start to encounter many enemies, which you can either fight or just run past. After some time of riding, depending on your route, you may come across a simple stone building. You may wonder, oh, what is this? So you step inside, but wait, the flow is descending, and you start to go down, 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 and oh my god, there's a whole city underneath. And all this is just the beginning. As you play more and explore further, the vast world of Elden Ring keeps unfolding and unfolding, marked with castles, ruins, snow-covered mountains, underground rivers, and lush forests. The world of Elden Ring is truly vast. At first glance, Elden Ring may seem like just another open-world Souls game. But, as many people have pointed out, Elden Ring has done something different. The vast world of Elden Ring is unlike the world of an average open-world game, where the open world often feels imposing and lacks any real immersion. Elden Ring has avoided this pitfall, and its world is incredibly immersive and interesting. There are few games that have been successful in getting open world design right. Many open world games fail to achieve this, and despite having a big, beautiful world, they lack the kind of engagement and depth that Elden Ring's world has. Most open world games feels quite similar, and their worlds lack distinctiveness. Due to the constant influx of such games, many people have come to dislike open world games. And it's fair to feel that way when you're presented with the same type of games over and over again. It's obvious to feel bored. But I think it's not just the concept of an open world game that's actually boring, but rather the way they are implemented and used. If used correctly, open world games can provide a unique and satisfying experience that other games formats can't. Of course, I don't mean to say that open world games are objectively superior to other games, nor do I want to come up with a defense for all open world games out there. Liking something is somewhat subjective, and my criteria for liking something may not hold true in your case. All I intend to share is what I think is special about open world games, and specifically how Elden Ring's incredible world building can make us look at the philosophy and thinking behind gaming itself. But first, let's address the big question. Why open world games? Like, why is there even a need for an open world game? Why have a massive world when you can have games where you can just complete one mission and move on to another? Certainly, if you're trying to play a game efficiently, open world games are not the best way to do it. Depending on the game, missions are often scattered around the map, and you have to travel from place to place to trigger and start the mission. The amount of time it takes to get from one mission to another can feel rather wasteful. Plus, why are there side quests and other random missions, like fishing or something, which have almost nothing to do with the actual storyline? Well, there's a good reason behind it. First, the addition of side missions and random NPC interactions isn't just a lazy way of filling gaps in a game. Instead, games purposefully include these elements to prevent players from getting bored with the repetitive cycle of completing mission after mission. Of course, fighting enemies and leveling up can be interesting, but after some time of doing the same thing over and over, it starts to feel monotonous. It's like how, when you keep listening to a song over and over, there comes a point when it loses its initial charm. Also, When a game requires a high level of mental focus to defeat an enemy, it can be pretty exhausting after some time. If you're always in a state of danger, you're less likely to play that game often. Because our brains don't like to be in a state of high alert all the time. And imagine someone coming home late, exhausted. The last thing they would want is to further strain their already exhausted brain by getting defeated again and again on a single level. This also helps games deal with the problem of difficulty levels. Elden Ring is a challenging game. Most players often don't defeat their opponents on the first or second try, and some even get stuck on a particular enemy for a long time. Now, if all you have to do is constantly fight with these enemies, you'll likely get frustrated and won't play the game as often. Non-combat activities and the ability to simply roam around in the game for a while give your brain the time to relax and gather the stamina to tackle those enemies again. That's why many games include side missions ranging from simple hunting to collecting treasures. Games need to break the cycle of repetition to keep players engaged. The ability to roam around in the game outside of missions lets players explore other aspects of a game. Usually, open world games have a distinct style to them, and developers want their players to experience it. It's much more than just completing a mission and waiting for another. These games allow players to immerse themselves and let them explore and discover things that often get neglected. Besides being entertaining, a game also has to create an experience. There are many games that can be quite fun, but games that succeed in creating a unique experience end up being remembered as legendary games. Games like Skyrim, Minecraft, and even GTA has been quite successful in doing this. Although this is not exclusive to open world games, having a world where players can explore and immerse themselves in the game certainly makes a game more memorable. Games have distinct aesthetics that captivate their players and encourage them to buy and play the game in the first place. How a game makes you feel plays a significant role in how often and when you play that game. Elden Ring does have a strange aesthetic. You can call it beautiful, but I'm not sure if that word would be enough to describe Elden Ring. I would rather say that Elden Ring is aesthetic. The word aesthetic is a complex one, though it refers to the study of beauty. However, in our everyday language, aesthetic has taken on a broader meaning and is used to describe all sorts of things. From a dark alleyway to piles of old books, anything can be aesthetic. There are numerous internet aesthetics. Aesthetic things do possess a sense of beauty, but the beauty in them does not have the same connotation as the word beautiful. Instead, aesthetic things are meant to make us feel in a particular way. Often, they portray things that are distorted or sometimes just plainly unreal. But this is their purpose. They do not care about being real, but rather aim to be something more than reality, and in some cases, an escape from reality. Elden Ring, as I see it, has a strange gothic feeling attached to it. Strangeness, terror, darkness, and a sense of decay, which are all hallmarks of the gothic, can be felt in Elden Ring. It would not be wrong to say that the architecture of Elden Ring has been inspired by Gothic castles and cathedrals. Magic, horror, and darkness fills the world of Elden Ring. The world of Elden Ring is in a state of decay. Things are falling apart, and nature has reclaimed its brute form, growing over the old and abandoned ruins. This suddenly makes these hostile games feel more beautiful. When you stop for a second and look at your surroundings, the misty dark forest, the underground rivers, snow-covered mountains, and ruined abandoned cities, you start to notice how beautiful this world actually is. It makes it much more than a game. It's a world to get immersed in. It makes you feel a certain way and makes you look at things in a strangely aesthetic way. The places you often miss while fast traveling have a captivating feel to them. Indeed, this is what Elden Ring has done so beautifully. It is a game that has a lot to discover. The possibility to explore provides much more depth to this game. This is a kind of game that shows that the developers have indeed put effort and dedication into making it. One of the great things about Elden Ring is that it does not hold your hand and tell you what to do. Instead, you are left to navigate by yourself in the game. This makes it much more fun than games where you are simply told what to do and where to go. Things are more free-flowing in it. Guidance is relatively scarce compared to other games. There are indeed many other games that have really great open worlds. One of them is Red Dead Redemption 2. It too has a lot of immersion in it, though not as majestic as Elden Ring, but still, in its own style, it has done a great job. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 feels like a living, breathing place, making it much more interesting and fun to engage with. Its forests and towns make its world feel like a place where life goes on, even when you are not playing it. Life in it feels more organic, and the abundance of fun activities you can do in it makes the world enjoyable outside of its storyline. And for someone like me who enjoys exploring every detail of a game, this is a great thing. I spend hours simply wandering around in games. Doing missions is not something that I really gravitate towards. I obviously like them, but seriously, what's more interesting than just exploring the little gritty places in these games? This is indeed my opinion, but still I think it's a point worth considering. Open world games allow players to explore far more than just their storyline. Also, there is something that some players tend to forget. At the end of the day, a game is meant to make you feel something and have fun. Sure, hardcore, passionate play is a good thing, but sometimes you just want to relax and explore the game without any pressure. You don't have to always compete and push your limits. Games can also be a chill and relaxing experience sometimes. But this certainly isn't easy. Making an open world game immersive is indeed a tough thing to do, and many games fail to achieve it. To make a world more engaging, there are many little details that have to come together correctly for things to make sense. But I think because of Elden Ring, new games will take lessons from it, and we can expect to see much better open world games in the future.